Well, take a look at these photos from influencer Mia Zelu. While she might look like a real person, she isn't. Mia is actually made with AI.
If you were fooled by that, you are not alone. 169,000 people followed her account online, raising new concerns over the use of AI as a marketing tool. So to discuss this, we are joined by futurist Dr. Catherine Ball and advertising executive Dee Madigan, both in the studio. Good to see you both this morning.
Hi.
Catherine, we've spoken about this before, right? This rise of AI, but on this scale, it is alarming.
It's alarming and it needs labelling. And quite frankly, if we thought we had body dysmorphia from bad Photoshop in the 90s and early 2000s through heroin chic, what we've got now is that on a scale that is really quite dangerous. And we just need to say what it is.
Yeah.
Look, this isn't the only example. Both Guess and Levi's have used AI-generated models for campaigns, right? So it is the way of the future. Do you think people care?
Yes. So with Levi's, they did, because Levi's used AI because they decided they needed more diversity in their models. So they used AI to create a black female model instead of, I don't know, paying a black female model. So I don't think it's necessarily the way of the future, and I think brands and Guess copped a lot of backlash. They had this spread in Vogue, completely AI generated, with the tiniest little label that no one could see.
Yeah.
The problem with that is you're not just not paying the model.
Yeah.
You're not paying a set designer, a makeup artist. The money's going to an overseas tech company who are probably not paying a great deal of tax. Like, it's... We don't have to just accept it. I think we have to say if brands want it, they need a big label that says it, and that might stop them.
Well, the issue is when it's reputable brands like what you mentioned there who are doing this legitimately, so-called, and then you see this rise in Instagram and people are being duped into perhaps buying these products that these AI bots are selling.
There's a huge pushback, though. I'm seeing a lot of Gen Z commenters saying we're not wanting to pay the carbon footprint costs, we're not wanting to pay the water costs. We understand, stop using AI in your products. We don't like it, we don't trust it, and we don't want it. So the Guess thing's quite interesting because I think we're going to see a drop in engagement with AI-generated content. We don't like fakery, we want trust. And it comes down to, you know, what does your brand value and your brand persona mean? If all you're after is the cheapest thing, then people will just see you as the cheap brand.
There's also a fair pursuit of regulation around AI, and there are a lot of people who are saying, hang on a second, you can't regulate AI too much, the horse is bolted. But how do you position your brand then in the future in connecting with people still?
So in Australia, you have to, ads that run on air are supposed to have a certain amount of Australian content, and it is regulated. You have to have a percentage of the ad has to have been made here. You could do the same with AI and say, if that person is 80% AI, it needs to have a big, big label on it so brands don't want to do it. At the moment, there's voiceover companies that are in Australia saying, we can do you an AI voice for really cheap. And it's like, that's someone's job. We don't have to say this is just the way of the future. We can say AI is great for some things, but not for others.
Well, it took how long did it take to get YouTube change? I mean, this is what worries me, and regulation around AI, and it moves so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this band going around at the moment. Let's have a listen to this.
Raise your hand.
Sydney Sweeney.
Don't look away. Sing out loud. Make them pay. March for peace.
So that sounds real. They have 1.4 million listeners on Spotify. That's taking money away from bands, legitimate bands.
Absolutely, and Natasha Bedingfield was actually very vocal about this in saying we're now, as human artists, going to have to go back to removing auto-tune and having those original stories and the reasons why. But artists tend to make more money out of tours than they make from streaming anyway. So you have to ask yourself, with the auto-tune and the, you know, Milli Vanillis and the, you know, bony ends that were created and they weren't real, you know, they weren't even really their voices, and then the Stock Aitken Waterman, you know, that manufactured pop that launched wonderful Kylie Minogue and various other success stories.
Donovan.
And then you look at things like X Factor and, like, you know, all those talent shows where they're manufacturing the music. There's going to be this pushback to the early 90s, I think, with regard to, like, Nirvana. I mean, Nirvana weren't the best at playing their instruments, but they were the best at being themselves and telling that story.
Exactly.
And so it's, what do we actually want from our music? What do we want from our artists?
All right, well, just very quickly, Dee, we wanted to ask you about the Sydney Sweeney campaign, which is not AI, but it's American
denim.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
it's all
but this
about
is
the
Rebecca
Canadian
Valance.
tuxedo.
This is Australian designer. I'm repping the Australian creatives
and
today.
Gorgeous. But what do you make of the backlash that Sydney's copping at the moment?
I think it is. I think it is fair enough. It feels very tonally wrong. And we were talking about this, and Catherine reckons it's almost identical to the Brooke Shields ad.
And maybe that one?
Yeah, but it feels.
She was very young and it was distasteful. It made me feel ick.
But what's happened to advertisers? Well, you've all gone woke. I mean, come on, it's just an ad for denim with you know...
It's more than that. She's a cultural icon. She is so powerful.
But what's she done wrong? It's just... What's the problem?
Oh,
It's not reading the room, Carl. It's really not reading the room.
I liked her bath stuff, you know, when she was selling her own bath water. I thought that was kind of, you know, just having a play on it. This, I mean, I know you, you're happy to look at this and you're going to go
made with parts of her bath water in it.
But I don't know.
Apparently.
This feels a bit yuck, and as a woman, and you just think culturally and racially, there's a lot about this that's a bit ick, and it's surprising she did it.
All right.
Tone deaf.
Their company went up 10%.
For the moment,
For now.
because it's getting press. It's getting press. We're talking about it.
The latest news is just minutes away.